Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here today at the Landmark Hotel. We're here to announce a date and a list of fights that will take place on the 28th of February at the O2 Arena here in London. The show will be headed up by the European, British and WBO international champion Tyson Fury, who will be fighting a top-ranked fighter. We're looking at a list at the moment. We thought we had something done yesterday, but unfortunately the guy we picked, unfortunately, would not be fit enough to fight by February 28th, so that's a great shame. So we will be announcing the opponent within the next couple of days, and subject to everybody's approval. I think everybody will be happy with it, and it'll be a fight that, from our point of view as promoters, that will keep Tyson up there and making sure he doesn't get stale, because obviously he's got the challenge for the world title against Vladimir Klitschko after Klitschko fights in March. And the objective here is that Tyson doesn't sit around. He's only had a couple of fights in the last, was it nearly 2 years now?
2 years, yeah.
2 years, and it's to keep him fit, well and focused. On his win a couple of weeks ago against Derek Chisora, I must say he went. I've always thought he's a good fighter, but he went certainly from my perspective up in my estimation. I thought he boxed very, very intelligently, and I thought that the switching to southpaw was quite a bit of a masterstroke during that fight. I think he thought that through, and he showed another, I thought, a dimension and aspect to what he is as a boxer. And you look, he's got a superb jab. He can fight. He's got a big heart, and and as you know, I managed Derek, and I was in Derek's corner for the fight, but Derek never got into it. He just never got into the fight. Tyson controlled it from round one onwards, and when you consider that the fights that Derek had prior to that, he was on a roll. He beat some decent fighters in Kevin Johnson and beat Malik Scott. A couple of these fighters were undefeated and stopped one of them. You look at that and then look at the form line. Tyson done a magnificent job, and I think he should get the respect for that on the night what he did. Anyway, it's onwards and upwards, and as I say, he will. I'm sure he'll be able to show everybody that he is the real deal, and keep himself busy. As I say, we will announce the opponent within the next few days. We also got on the card Chris Eubanks Jr. We're looking at a couple of options for him. There's been talk of rematches. There's been talk of fighting for the British title. Nick Blackburn is looked after by Mick here, so that's something we would look at. But again, we will be announcing that opponent next week. He's not, unfortunately, here. He was due back from America, but he's in the States and doesn't get back till tomorrow. So we'll have to do something with him just after the start of the new year. But it'll be a decent show. I can assure you that Tyson's fight will be on no later than 11 o'clock, and Chris Eubanks Jr. will be on at 10 o'clock, so that everybody can make sure they're home. Getting home. We also have on the undercard British and Commonwealth super featherweight title. Liam Walsh against Craig Evans. Bradley Skeet will be also on the card, as will Frank Buglioni, Lewis Petit, and we've got a cracking little fight between Ahmet Patterson and Glenn Foote, two undefeated fighters for the. It's eliminated for the British title, and Ahmet Patterson is not looking like a bad fighter at the moment. So it will be a really good show. I promise you won't be disappointed with the opponent. We're really working hard on it to ensure that we deliver the best to the fans and to bring out the best in Tyson Fury and Chris Eubanks Jr. Anyway, Mick's here, who's a joint promoter with us in this event. Tyson himself and his trainer and uncle Peter. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Are you looking to America for an opponent rather than Europe?
Well, we've got about 4 in the frame. One of the opponents we looked at, the guy we was looking at was an American, but we're looking. It's very difficult with the heavyweight scene. If you look at most of the the rankings, most of the guys come from Eastern Europe, and we're looking for something that will will bring out the best in Tyson. I think Tyson wants guys who are going to come to fight, going to walk forward. It suits his style. He doesn't want to be fighting runners, and I think that's what we've got to sort out. I've got in my head a couple of guys that I really do think would fit that bill, and it's a matter of us agreeing and nailing it down. And as I say, we will get that done very, very quickly, because we want to get that out certainly by the weekend, because the tickets will be on sale on Monday for the show, so we've got to get it sorted.
Are you looking at trying to find someone tall?
Sorry?
Are you looking to try and find a tall opponent?
Well, I just, the fact that that's, what you're saying, Declan, it makes a lot of sense. It would be ideal to get a tall guy, because obviously that's the type of a fighter that Klitschko is. We've also got a situation as well that on January 17th you've got Stavern and Wilder fighting, which is it's a good fight, and that's maybe that might be another avenue. See what happens with that one. But I think really what we're looking for is to keep Tyson busy. I mean, that's speaking to Mick and Peter. Mick said from the beginning he doesn't want him sitting around. He wants him to be fighting regularly, and that's the objective here.
Sorry, Frank. Did you just say there's a possibility that he could fight one of Wilder or something?
Well, I think you've got to be open to all these. Boxing's a game where suddenly an opportunity, a door open, and sometimes you might think, well, actually that's a better fight, or that's a fight that we feel that with any boxer that you're on, that may be a better option. You just got to have an open mind on it. But the most important thing we don't want to distract from is that he is the mandatory challenger to Klitschko, and that is where the focus is at the moment.
Frank, so your opponent has to be top 15 WBO ranking now, Tyson?
Well, I think we're all pretty sensible between all of us. It's got to be a ranked fighter, obviously. We don't want to be finding somebody ranked number 50 in the ratings. That's not going to suit anybody. I don't think that'd even do Tyson any favours. Obviously, the name of the game is that he preserves his position as the number one. No one wants to see him get beat or get cut. That puts that fight in jeopardy. But it had to be a ranked fighter. And I think we're all sensible enough, we're boxing people, between us all, to know what the fans want, and more importantly, what Tyson wants. I mean, he's the guy who's getting in the ring, so at the end of the day, it's got to be, an opponent that we're all happy with.
What are your preferences, Tyson? Who would you prefer, American, European, or?
I'm not really too bothered, to be honest. After the last fight, like Frank just said, they're mandatory now, so just about preserving that position, keeping busy, and getting that Klitschko fight, making that fight happen.
It's important to stay busy now.
It's very important, as I've only had 2 fights in just under 2 years, so I need to get a few fights and get the rounds built up while I'm waiting, because I've got a feeling they're going to try and make me wait quite a while, like they did with Pulev.
We wrote to Klitschko's people, Bond, and said to them, why don't we just cut to the chase and just do the fight in March? And they've not even responded. Not even said, sod off, not interested. We've had 0 back, not a thing back from them.
So what's the time frame on this, Frank?
Well, obviously the 28th of February is what it is, that's the date. And we would like to get it away in the summer. And we'd like to get the fight on in the UK if we can do it. There's football stadiums here. It'd be a big fight. It'd be good to see if we could get Klitschko over here. With Box Nation we've got the clout to do it. But we've not even got to the negotiation stages yet, because obviously we've got to see what happens with Klitschko and Pulev.
How realistic do you think it is to actually get to the UK?
Well, if it goes to purse bids, it's very difficult, because with a purse bid situation, we've got 20% of the bid to play with, which is the challenger's end of a purse bid. So they can inflate a bid because they have 80%. And they are promoters themselves. They can inflate it to ensure they get home advantage. But I have got them over here in the past. I've got Klitschko over here to fight Herbie Hyde. I put the money up to get Herbie Hyde. We may not be grateful for that now because he was bouncing about on the floor for quite a bit. But we brought him over here. Recently, he had to go to Russia. Some people put some money up, some significant money up for a fight to go to Russia. When he fought, was it Povetkin? Was he fought?
Yeah.
When he fought Povetkin. So it's not impossible for us to win a purse bid. Having said that, you know, Tyson's a fighting man, isn't he? He'll go where he's got to go to get his opportunity. But ideally, we'd like it to be here. And it would be a huge fight. I don't think there'd be a bigger fight than that in the UK. You know, it's the heavyweights. It's you know, Klitschko comes with all his credentials. It's an undefeated young fighter. You know, that is a big fight. That is a big fight. And yeah, Wembley or Arsenal. You know, where we did Bruno at Wembley. I mean, you know, over the years, track record's not been bad as far as getting our guys shots at world titles. I mean, we brought Oliver McCall over to fight Frank Bruno at Wembley. Frank won. As I say, we got Herbie Hyde got beat by Klitschko, but then I got him another shot. I think we brought Tucker over. Don King had Tony Tucker. We brought him over, and he won a version of the title. Herbie Hyde, he won a WBO title back then. So if we can do it, it makes a lot of sense. The one thing about it, we know that the gate would generate a lot of income, and I'm absolutely confident there'll be American TV interest in the fight.
Tyson, what difference does it make having this date in the diary for your motivation, something to shoot at?
It's very good for me because with Christmas just around the corner, I now have something to look forward to, a goal, so I can get stuck back into training and get prepared for this date. It's very hard for me to concentrate when I've got no dates, just like pissing in the wind basically. But now I've got a date focused, and I'll be ready for that opponent, whoever it is.
So you won't be overindulging in Christmas?
No overindulging, unfortunately, no.
You can have Christmas on the. Is it a leap year next year? No, it's not. Is it? You can have Christmas on the 1st of March.
Tyson, how much have you learned about dealing with having to kind of hang around and wait over the last couple of years?
You know, what's happened to me has happened. It's not really affected me as a fighter because I've been constantly in training camps and in the gym. So it's not like I've been sat at home doing nothing. You know, you learn as you get more experience and as you are a professional longer, you learn that not everything goes the way it should do, as it should. And you just got to take it on the chin and keep moving forward, basically. Look for different fights and get on with it. There's going to be falls along the way, but as long as you keep getting back up and keep going on and keep focused, then yeah, you'll be okay.
Are you a patient man, Tyson?
No, I'm not a patient man. I want everything yesterday or today. I don't like waiting for anything, but you know, some things are worth waiting for, and some things you have to wait for.
In boxing, you do have to have patience. I mean, you know, everything we said we would do, I think we've delivered as our end as promoters. We said that, you know, the winner of this would get the #1 spot, the mandatory position. All that's happened, but it should have happened in July, and it didn't because of you know, tragedy, a family tragedy in Tyson's family, and with his uncle, and also the fact that Derek Chisora broke his thumb. So sometimes it's meant to happen. It's unfortunate, but we got there. You know, the winner of the fight got what we said we'd deliver, which is an opportunity fight for a world title. And it's not about allowing him to sit around on his backside. It's keeping him busy, keeping him focused, and making sure that, you know, he has something to aim for. And you know, I've got to meet with Derek in the next couple of days and decide what he wants to do. He knows if he gets himself okay, he'll certainly be out sometime with a bit of luck in March and try and get himself back on track.
Mick, how difficult do you think it will be to get Klitschko over here, and if it isn't, what's your thoughts about how to go German?
Well, you know, let's not forget, during the Hay fight, Vladimir, in the run-up to the Hay fight, Vladimir Klitschko expressed a very strong interest in boxing in the UK, and I believe they was, you know, quite far forward looking at Chelsea. That was something he said he wanted to do before the end of his career, and through no fault of theirs, I believe it fell through on the Chelsea end. So, you know, I think there's a strong chance of him wanting to come to the UK. It's a big market. It's a market he likes. He spent a lot of time over here, you know, sort of like promoting fights. So I think it's definitely realistic.
So a London football stadium, you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, you know, the football club or Wembley, I mean, would be fantastic. I agree with what Frank said. I think it's the biggest fight out there, bar none. I think I honestly believe that Tyson is the only fighter that the world will get behind in believing that he can beat Klitschko in the build-up to that fight. So I don't think there's any fight that compares. I think it'll, you know, break all sorts of records if the fight's made, especially in the UK.
If you get on at the Arsenal, we'll have some support there, won't we? With Miyasaka, Ozil and Podolski, they might come out and support him.
Well, I'm not playing football.
Just hope his defence is as bad as theirs at the moment.
Nick, you've been with Tyson from day one. You think he's really there now to this World Title fight?
I know he's there, Ken. He's come on unbelievable. I mean, you just had to see that masterclass against Chisora, and he weren't nowhere near 100%. I mean, you get him with a modern day heavyweight like Klitschko, and you get him in 100% shape like he was for the David Haye fight, and we're not just going to get the win. It's going to be an explosive win. I promise that. You haven't touched the sides with Tyson. He's a phenomenal athlete, and the best is yet to come. He's ready, believe me.
Frank, you said you emailed Klitschko's people for a fight in March. You did nothing back. Have there been any kind of positive notices coming?
Nothing at all. You know, I think the fight will be, as you know, we've sort of been banging on. It'll be mandated by the WBO after his next fight, and then they'll have to sit down and negotiate with us, or, you know, one way or another, it will happen. Whether it happens by purse bids or by a negotiation, that fight will happen, unless he vacates the title or he gets beat in March. And if he gets beat in March, Tyson will fight the winner of that fight.
Tyson, what's your kind of feeling on how it's going to go? Do you think he will vacate? I know in the past you said don't.
I've said a long time now, maybe 3 years, that I don't believe that Vladimir Klitschko will ever fight me. That's just my opinion. These guys think different on the table. I just can't see it, to be honest. I can't see that happening. But, you know, you never can tell. But I am mandatory for the WBO, so another thing, I wouldn't like to, obviously I would fight for it, but fighting for the vacant title or fighting the man who's supposed to be the man, it's two different tasks altogether. I'd like to, when I win that world title, I'd like to take it off Klitschko rather than winning a vacant title or whatever. But, you know, it's hard for me after what I saw over in Austria and being around Emmanuel Stewart for a while, the vibes I was getting off of them, to see this fight actually happening. Vladimir believes in his own mind that he can't beat me. And now I've switched up to southpaw, I've almost certainly put 4 nails in the coffin because he struggles with southpaws. So we're going to see. We're going to see what he's really made out of, because Vladimir Klitschko, it's all right fighting little men over the years and fighting bums from Europe who's big and can't move. But when he's got a fighter who can move and box and fight and change tempo upon him at any different stage in the fight, it's a whole different ball game. You know, I'm 26, 6'9", fit as a fiddle, hungry as a lion. I don't think he's ready for that at a 37, 38-year-old coming to the end of his career. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see if he is ready, because it's all right fighting someone like Pulev, who, in my opinion, swallowed when he got in there and he didn't really do much. Stood in front of a guy and give him his chin, basically. You're not dealing with that type of fighter. You're dealing with someone who can move and box as well. So let's get that fight going. That's the only thing that I want now. After coming 23-0, I'm really ready for the world title. I'm really ready to take Klitschko out. And I've been saying it for 3 or 4 years now, that I will knock Vladimir Klitschko spark out. I'm no David Haye going to go in there and play around. Tyson Fury, I fight, I adapt to any situation, and I can almost guarantee there's not 1 ounce of me that believes that he can beat me. I'm definitely going to beat Vladimir Klitschko if he takes that fight. You've heard it from the horse's mouth there.
Just out of curiosity, who came up with the plan to fight Chisora Southpaw? Was it you, Tyson, or was it you?
he's the mastermind behind it also. I'm just almost like a robot. I just do as the mastermind thing.
He's sitting there stroking a white cat behind his table.
When will the training start? When will you start training?
About the 12th of January. That's when he'll get back. Yeah, he'll enjoy his Christmas with his wife and his children, and it's back to serious business. No interference, just getting on with the job.
Down in camp.
Or we have to decide yet. Could be back here, could be over there. We've not sat down and spoke about it yet.
Mick was saying that he feels that this, such a size of Tyson. How much more do you think there is to come from Tyson?
Well, against Chisora, he boxed exactly to do, basically what he was told to do. He could have went out there and done a number on Chisora, but we're not here to take chances. So basically, he never got out of second gear because when Chisora felt the punishment of the shots in the first round, he realised he couldn't advance like he normally does. You got somebody 18 stone 7 punching down with the knuckles, and it's a painful experience. I hold the pads, and I knew Derek would stop in his tracks as soon as he felt the jab. Looking outside of a boxing match and being in there is a totally different story. Derek done very, very well to maintain it and manage with his professional experience to get around the ring, back off and try and make a fight of it and wait for his opportunity, but it never came. So because of that, he never got out of second gear. So you've not remotely seen what Tyson's about. He come into this fight with 6 weeks with chest infections, training at 50% capacity. We had problems in this camp. We've had bereavements in this camp. So what have you seen? You've seen what, 30-40% of what Tyson can do? Tyson used his brains and boxed like he always is capable of doing. Now he's maturing, he's getting older, he's coming into his own, and he's boxing with his brain. That's why Klitschko's reigned so long, isn't it? Because he boxes with his brain. He's clever. Boxing, people need to realise you can have all the skill in the world. If you haven't got the brain to go with it, what have you got? So when a fighter uses his attributes and uses common sense to go with it, he's forced to be reckoned with. He's 6'9". He's got all the tools, he's got a super engine, and he's a dedicated athlete and loves to fight. So he's got all the ingredients of being a very, very class world heavyweight.
Incidentally, back in January when the Derek Chisora fight was being made, Peter told me the tactics and exactly what would happen in that fight, and it played out to a T. Exactly what he said back in January happened in the fight. So it was, it was brilliant sort of foresight, really.
Any other questions?
Do you see any possibility of Vladimir Klitschko asking for an exemption to try and unify with the winner of Savannah?
No, that will not happen. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't think they'll want that to happen. If Wilder wins it, I think it's a tough fight for Wilder. We're going to see what he's made of. At the moment, you look at the guys he's fought. He's not fought anybody of note. We know he can punch. He is wild by nature. Some of the shots he throws, he leaves himself open. Stavern's actually not a bad boxer, so it'd be interesting to see who wins that fight. But I don't see any of them rushing into a Klitschko fight too soon. I don't think Klitschko wants to fight Tyson, to be quite honest. I don't think he wants to fight him. He didn't want to fight Derek Chisora. Twice he pulled out the fight with Derek Chisora. They're very, the Klitschko's pick their opponents. It's very difficult to do a deal with them. People talk about promoters and, we're seen as demons and how the fighters don't get paid. You go and do a deal with them. If you're not in a mandatory position, you've got to take peanuts and sign your life away. If I did that, or anybody else did it, they'd get a lot of stick. But that's how it is in dealing with them. And they're very, very, very selective in who they want to fight. This they can't get out of. And they've had, and they are good fighters. Both the brothers are decent fighters. But as Tyson said, he's 37 years of age now. He does look after himself, Vladimir. He is a natural athlete. They certainly take all their preparations for fights very seriously. But I see him get beat. I seen him beaten by Chris Bird years ago. And Chris Bird, you know, went in there and just took the fight to him, and he didn't cope with it. And a lot of people thought there was a problem with his. I'm trying to think of a nice word for it. With his desire at that stage. But he's come back and he's had fights. But I don't think Leopard's changed their spots. And I think that in the ring with Tyson, I don't think he's going to be able to dominate it the way he would normally dominate a fight. And I think that, you know, in taking the fight to him, and the fact he's a similar size, the same size of him, he's got a great jab, can fight southpaw. I think we'll get some serious questions asked of Klitschko. The same way as when Derek Chisora fought the brother. The key to beating them is jumping on them and having the heart to do it and taking them out their stride. And you know, Derek, although he lost the fight, he gave him the best fight he had since he fought Lennox Lewis. And it's the same with this brother. They picked their opponents and they manipulated situations. They're a great advert for the sport as personable, intelligent people, but in some ways they've killed the heavyweight division. So this fight and the Stiverne and Wilder fight, I think it injects a lot of, you know, new blood and interest back into that division now. And you know, this guy's the mandatory, and it's up to him now to go and show the world, you know, that he can do what he says he can do. And we'll make sure from our end that it happens.
No, I was over at the camp training, but he was fighting Derek at the time, and I was too big to spar, to prepare for Derek Chisora, so he didn't let me spar.
Are there any more questions? No, well, thanks very much for coming along. As I say, we'll give you a release of the opponent and get together every year to speak to Tyson again about his opponent, and also with Chris Eubanks. And we'd like to thank you for your support this year, and wish you all a Merry Christmas and hopefully a successful and Happy New Year as well. Thanks, guys.